Competitiveness, an interesting buzzword that we're hearing a lot of lately. Why is competitiveness important, and why is it important for Ukraine? Internationally oriented investors look around the globe for countries in which to invest their limited resources. They're looking for countries that are truly competitive. World Economic Forum recently released their 2011-2012 competitiveness report, showing that Ukraine is trending upwards in competitiveness. Last year, we were ranked 89. This year, Ukraine is ranked 82nd. This is all a very positive trend moving in the right direction. A lot of work still has to be done. Competitiveness still is a key success factor for moving Ukraine and its economy forward in the future.
Забезпечення конкурентоспроможності реалізується на трьох основах.
Competitiveness consists of three levels. The first one is the level of state responsibility. The second aspect is business activity. And there is the third dimension, the third component, which usually is not taken into account. It is cooperation, shared responsibility of business and the state.
Кто выигрывает эту конкуренцию? Кто побеждает?
Who becomes a winner in this competition? Who wins in the struggle for talents, markets and investments? Almost corresponding to Darwin's theory, the winner is not the smartest or the strongest one, but the one who is the most adaptable. Countries that will be able to adopt reforms faster in accordance with the spirit of time will probably win the competition.
I would mention three areas where I think Ukraine can take steps to improve the national competitiveness. First is foreign direct investment. I think that Ukraine needs to make it easier to start a business here. The third area I think that Ukraine needs to work on is to improve the environment for small and medium-term businesses.
What is the investor looking for? So what are the issues that exist today? He is looking, first of all, for promises to be met, obligations to be met. He's looking for respect, for contractual obligations, therefore, right? In general and in short, he's actually looking to make sure that any investment that he puts into this country is actually protected.
Проблемних сфер надзвичайно багато.
There are many problem issues we need to face. The Economic Committee working on them now as well. Today, all executive bodies, ministries and departments are working on this issue. We are involved in a very important and sophisticated teamwork, the aim thereof being to draft Ukrainian legislative and implementation system that would ensure stability for businesses in the country.
So I think the main challenge is to catch up with the top 20 economies in the world. That's what the President has said he wants for the country, and I think that's what most Ukrainians would agree with. The question is how to get there. And it's all about productivity, and productivity comes from investment and technologies, and for that you need to create the right climate so that investors feel comfortable bringing new technologies and new ways of doing business to Ukraine.
I would say like this, opportunities are connected with the barriers. If we remove barriers, we create opportunities. In reality, what business needs a predictable system in which they can operate. We don't need preferences, and I think in any country the businesses don't need preferences. They just need to make sure that there is an equal treatment and good conditions for the investors.
Competitiveness as well as reputation of a state depends on many factors. First of all, it is stability and understanding of processes which take place in the country. The more predictable we are, the better our partners will be able to understand us, and the more partners will be willing to cooperate with us.
Ukraine's strengths are in its natural talent. I think the first strength is Ukraine is the 6th largest consumer population in Europe, so there are almost 45 million people in Ukraine, and as a consumer market, it's a huge market for many businesses, and that's what makes Ukraine interesting. Ukraine has great people resources. Has a very highly educated and highly intelligent workforce that's available, a lot of great people with great enthusiasm. And it also has lots of natural resources, agricultural probably being the biggest one. And if Ukraine can find a way to use those natural assets and resources effectively, it has tremendous potential to grow and to continue to develop.
The big hope for Ukraine is, of course, Euro 2012, which offers an opportunity for the country to show itself at all European level. And I do hope that Ukraine government and the business will do their best to get the most of this lucky chance.
And of course, the question now is, how do you unleash those opportunities? And the rule of law provides a fundamental platform with which those opportunities should be developed
for future prosperity of the country and the people of Ukraine.
Для того, щоб реально можна було щось змінити, треба
In order to make change really possible, political will is not enough. Feedback from business environment is really necessary. Best way to organize it lies in associations, business unions, which are actually created to represent interests of business and provide feedback.
Everyone who has something to gain and who benefit from prosperous Ukraine should come to Ukraine. They should sit at the table all the time together and try to find many win-win opportunities that if you don't sit together, if you don't discuss them, if you don't cooperate, you're going to miss these opportunities.
The success always comes together from the cooperation of different players, which is government on one hand, investors on the other hand, and finally consumers and markets. And in order to bring all these three together, this is exactly where institutions such as the American Chamber of Commerce, but also others will have a great role to play to make sure that people target on the right things and they speak each other's language, so to say, so that the interest of all stakeholders are being taken into account.
Позиція співпраці з торгівельними компаніями.
Cooperation with trading companies, business structures, international cooperations and institutions is of fundamental significance. Why? As we can see, on the one hand, 20 years is a lot, but for the state's independence, it is not enough. Thus, today, we are confident that cooperation with international institutions gives an opportunity to accelerate reforms.
Joining a free trade agreement with, for instance, the European Union would increase its markets more than tenfold with a higher income level in the European Union. And meeting European Union quality standards would mean that Ukraine could access sophisticated markets anywhere else in the world.
It does not matter for me what the origin of the investment is, whether it is Ukrainian or foreign. The key issue is whether this investment gives an opportunity to create quality jobs and added value on the territory of Ukraine. Thus, I'm sure whether it is American, German, Israeli, Ukrainian investment, transparent conditions for all need to be created.
And by working with international companies, we see that could be an excellent vehicle to bring international best practice to Ukraine. So I have a very strong message on partnerships, and I think partnerships is really an important way forward for Ukraine. It is, we have a strong belief that partnerships would be a win-win, and our company is actively pursuing those in Ukraine.
Well, you need to understand what partnership is. I mean, my organization is partnership. Therefore, I know well, having worked in it for almost 20 years now, I know what is partnership. Partnership is about two things. One is listening to each other, listening and being prepared to compromise. If that is not happening, then nothing can be achieved. If you think about interests of the government and businesses, in the long term, they are exactly the same.
Я впевнений, що альтернативи Україні як сучасній конкурентоспроможній.
I am sure that Ukraine has no alternative than to become a modern, competitive, democratic state. But clear programs and development strategies must be created. An ability to consolidate society around these programs and strategies is vital. Moreover, the trust of society in power and state should be strengthened. I would like to underline specific significance of the Chamber's activities in Ukraine. It is a very serious factor ensuring the dialogue between business and power.
This year we're happy to launch the 2011-2012 Partnership for Successfully Competing in the Global Economy, a partnership that has been developed in conjunction with relevant stakeholders that puts forward a comprehensive regulatory and legislative reform agenda that is designed to help make Ukraine more competitive and more successful. The legislative and regulatory agenda put forth by the Partnership for Successfully Competing in the Global Economy is very much aligned with President Yanukovych's economic reform agenda. And working together with the President's office, our key stakeholders in the government, the expert community, the diplomatic community, the donor community, and the international financial institutions, we as a Chamber are really working to bring all the stakeholders to the table to help to make this reform agenda a reality.